Is it working? I think it's working. Yes! Hello, everyone! So my name is Sarah. I'm the Municipal Liaison here in El Paso, Texas. And this was a wild ride this morning. This is my first time doing this, but thank you so much for joining me for this live virtual write-in. I am wearing a nice throwback to 2012 winter shirt, which is really exciting. Thank you for bearing with me in my technical difficulties. I really, really do appreciate you guys and your patience. What I decided to do, because it's a Wednesday, and for those of you who don't know me, which pretty much none of you probably know me, I'm actually a therapist in my in real life full-time job. And what I have found over the years is that using National Novel Writing Month as a very important component to my overall wellness goals has been very beneficial for me. This is my 10th year doing National Novel Writing Month. It's my 7th year running the El Paso community, the El Paso region. And we've used El Paso writing as a way to kind of heal after different tragedies that our communities experienced. This year is going to be a little bit different because we're normally a very in-person group. But obviously we're all going to be virtual, right? So as I'm looking at some of the chats here, we've got a lot of people who are new, which is exciting. We've got a lot of people who are saying that they are never someone who plans. I'm seeing some people who are saying they're planters. I too am a planter. I have always been a planter. I kind of start with a rough outline and then I go from there. But I think for me, since it is October, I kind of prepared this to be both part planning / if you want to write during those right times, we can. That's fine. It's really going to be whatever you need to do in order to be at your best possible self for November. Okay. So I also wanted to start with explaining why I chose to call this kind of a Wellness Wednesday, right? Because I like alliteration. Yes. But if you look at what counts as your overall wellness and think about November, right? For those of you who have done this in the past, November brings a certain level of stress with it. Mostly because, I don't know about you, but I let other parts of my life go just a little bit. You know, the floors maybe don't get mopped as often, or dinner winds up being something that's picked up really quick on the way home. But if you're looking at trying to kind of balance your overall wellness and well-being, National Novel Writing Month is absolutely perfect for that, especially in times like these when we have all kinds of different stuff going on. We've got external factors. We've got our own personal internal things going on. So what I wanted to kind of focus on today was how you can use National Novel Writing Month both as a personal wellness and then also how you can use wellness goals to help spur your writing and to help your main characters and your supporting characters also move forward in their journey. So we're going to start out with a little bit of education real quick. Bear with me here. The Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration for the United States has identified 8 main domains, 8 primary domains for wellness and how to kind of have your entire life be balanced. Sometimes certain parts of your wellness don't necessarily get to take precedence, right? There are certain things that we can't necessarily control. I can't completely control my physical health, but there are a lot of things I can do to try and prepare for that. I can take my vitamins. I can eat healthy. I can get lots of sleep. Not too much sleep, though. Too much sleep is also a problem. There are certain ways that we can kind of modify that. If you're looking at your 8 domains of wellness, which I have outlined here, we have our emotional wellness. So that's going to be how well you can handle your own emotional reactions to things, how often you're losing your temper, being able to really control those responses, being able to manage sadness, even being able to manage how excited you are or how happy you are. Because here's the thing, even when we're really excited, think about how we maybe have knee-jerk reactions to other people's emotional being because it's not in line with us, right? So our emotional well-being plays into all of this. And if you're thinking about this in terms of your characters, if you're like, you know what, therapist lady, just cut to the writing stuff. Think about trying to figure out how is your character balancing these different life domains, and how does whatever their end goal, whatever their journey is, how does that wind up impacting where they're going, right? What areas they're lacking in, or what things are maybe out of balance. Obviously, we have our physical domain, so that's going to be your overall physical health, how you're sleeping, how you're eating, other health concerns. Your spiritual, and this doesn't necessarily mean organized religion. It means kind of your feeling at one with the world, feeling at peace with the world around you, kind of those different energy movements. We've got your social well-being, which, if you're like me, I've been isolating for COVID. I've been working from home. I've been literally in this spot for months now. That's kind of taken a hit, right? I don't have the ability to socialize the way that I used to. And even when I do, it's now through a screen. I'm reading what you guys are saying, and I'm really excited because other people are like, yes, we like wellness. Perfect. That's great. I was like, these are my people. I think they'll jive with me here. So as we look at that, look, someone's even saying they call their sister and just drive her mad. That's a part of it, right? How we engage socially in those different domains and those different ways has a huge impact on our overall well-being. So if you have a main character who maybe is seeking those social connections, that's going to be an area that you might have them kind of focus on. And then over here, we have our financial well-being. Obviously, there are certain things we can plan for there and certain things we can't necessarily. Our occupational, so work, maybe volunteer work. And then our environmental. So if you're thinking about how you are messing with your main character, how does the environment impact that? If you look at my environment here, right? I'm a therapist. I've been doing this and doing therapy with people in my space, in my personal space here at home. If you look, I've got bright colors. I've got things that are stimulating for me and also kind of give that portrayal of this is kind of a safe, calming, but still upbeat space. If you're thinking about your environment in your whole story, if you're thinking about your environment for you personally during National Novel Writing Month, and this is why people say, try to establish a writing space that's kind of separate from everything else. That environmental factor is going to have a huge role to play in how well you're able to function. So if you're looking at trying to mess with your main character and say, maybe we'll have them in a desolate wasteland. Obviously, he's not going to have the best balance here, right? If you have a teenager in a high school setting, that environment is definitely going to impact her ability to engage with others, maybe in that social realm. So they all kind of start to overlap a little bit. But if you're thinking about these things, as we go through and are developing our character's wellness while also keeping your own wellness in mind for how you're preparing yourself to handle November, it's very important. And then my last one on here is our intellectual well-being. And that's something Nano hits on perfectly because NaNoWriMo winds up hitting all of those intellectual different points that we need. It's our creativity, it's our curiosity, and it winds up helping to bring this one to the forefront. I don't know if there are any people out there who are more, they write all year round. I saw a couple of people pop in here and they were saying like, oh, I write all year. So this is just, another time for me to write. I don't. I write a little bit for fun outside of work, but for the most part, I write during National Novel Writing Month and I kind of close those files. I've got one. I have one that I'm trying to edit, my 2013 novel. But if you aren't necessarily someone who has this as, and I have a lot of different other creative outlets, but for me, National Novel Writing Month, November is the month I look forward to every single year. It's a way to spur and to kind of expand this domain of intellectual creativity, so that as other things may be struggling, particularly now, if we think about the fact that my social life is practically non-existent, right? This one right here is just out the way. The physical, I'm constantly anxious about that because of the whole pandemic thing, right? We've got a lot of different stressors going on. We've got politics stressors. We've got relationships with other people that are stressing people out right now. We've got a lot of financial strain on people. If you cannot necessarily get these all in perfect balance, they can compensate for each other to help you have a better overall, well-rounded wellness for your life. So if you're participating in National Novel Writing Month for the very first time, I am going to warn you, this is a rough year to start. There winds up being what we call the week 3 doldrums, but it's going to be great because it's going to help enhance all of those different areas. And even if they're not necessarily doing better, you at least now have something else that's going really, really well for you, especially because there's no, it's almost like, well, there's no drive. There's no, all of these different things. First Nano in more than 10 years. Oh, we've got someone who's like a veteran, but then coming back. I like that. I really like that. What made you decide to come back? I feel like 10 years, you're kind of like, I feel like my November would be lonely. I feel like my November might be kind of empty. Anyway, you can do this either for yourself. So this is a wellness exercise. You can do this either for yourself or for your main character. Well, we're going to take, I'm also, for those who follow Nano Word Sprints on Twitter, I'm Beltre. I'm the one who does the word sprints in odd numbers. So you will never see me do a sprint for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes because my local region one year did a very scientific study where we tracked everything. And we did mystery sprints and we also did sprints that were of different times. So if you do 7 minutes, your brain isn't necessarily calibrated to know how long 7 minutes is. And people wrote on average like 6.3 more words per minute over the course of those odd numbered sprints versus a 5 or a 10-minute ending. So we're going to go for 6 minutes right now. If you want to just write because you know exactly what you want to write, you go for that. I am full on in support of that. If you don't though, and I will be setting the timer so you don't have to pay attention to it. If you're not necessarily sure, you can outline in these 8 different domains, and I will kind of hold it up for you for a second, or maybe pick 1 or 2 of the different wellness domains and figure out where is your main character there, or where are your supporting characters in regards to these different domains. Which ones are they lacking, and which ones are they doing really, really well in? And how does that help motivate your character? I don't know about you, but I don't really read stories about people who are perfectly happy and everything's just going great. There's a problem, right? There's some kind of journey. There's something that they're working towards. So go ahead and take that time. We're going to go for 6 minutes. You can map this out for your character, or you could map it out for yourself if you want to. There aren't really any rules. Or you can just write. And we're going to go. Everybody ready? 6 minutes of mapping out wellness. Analyzing where you are or where your character is as we prepare for National Novel Writing Month. If you want to ask questions during the sprint, absolutely. I will be paying attention to the chat, so feel free to. If there are any of the different domains you really want explained a little bit more fully, or if there are things where you're like, I'm not sure where this would fall, that's fine. Go for it. So we are going to go for 6 minutes. I am starting the timer now. Go. Write. Plot. Hold this. Sure, I will definitely do that. I'm writing out the different domains into the chat for anybody who needs a reference, because my handwriting is awful. No, Queen Joy, you haven't missed much. We're doing a quick sprint. We're looking at those different life domains. So either you can write or you can try and map out and plot in preparation for November, where you are figuring out different wellness domains and how they apply to your character, which ones they're really good at, which ones they're maybe lacking in, and how that helps drive your story. We have a little over 4 minutes left. And if you have any questions that aren't even related to the sprint, feel free to put them in the chat box. We've already got one really good one there, and I'm looking forward to answering that. But maybe I should put my witch's hat on. Be more festive. Just under 3 minutes, guys. We're doing a quick sprint. We've got about 2 minutes left. So don't worry, Flossie 1996. You're fine. Okay, the computer's making noises. All right, we're getting some great questions in the chat here too. So I will be answering those after the sprint. Also, hi. Just a few more seconds, guys. Push through. I know I'm really out of shape when it comes to sprinting, so. And time. Before we get to questions, how did it go? Do you feel like you've made some connections with your character and maybe what their motivations are in trying to be a more well-rounded person? Yes. Okay, I got a yes, definitely. I will take that. That is a win. The great thing about knowing your wellness domains and being able to really analyze what's going on. either for your characters or for yourself, if you're really trying to mentally prepare yourself for National Novel Writing Month, is that just try to remember that some things may be not going so great and other things may be going really well. And you kind of mix and mash, and you kind of let one thing maybe envelop another and give it that time to be able to fizzle out on its own. With that being said, and this is something that I always tell my writers here in El Paso, don't let National Novel Writing Month be a stressor for you. If you don't hit that 50,000 mark, it is not the end of the world. You are not a loser. There are only winners in National Novel Writing Month. And even beyond that, every word you've written or every moment you have dedicated to this creative literary abandon that we kind of go our way on, that's a win. And if you look at everything else that's going on in the world right now and everything else that's going on in our personal lives, so we've got some questions about how to manage your time or how to manage your creativity, how to manage your energy levels. Remember, and this is a really good, I forget who said it. I want to say it was from Cokie Roberts, but I'm not 100% certain. So the analogy is that at any given time, you're juggling different balls in the air, right? And as you're juggling those different balls, they're made of different materials. Some of them are going to be made of wood. Some of them are going to be made of glass. And some of them are going to be made of rubber. When you're juggling those different balls, you have to identify which ones are made of glass, which ones are made of rubber, and which ones are made of wood. Because they do very different things when you literally drop that ball, right? A glass ball is going to fall and it's going to break. And even if you can kind of put it back together again, it's not necessarily going to be the same. A wooden ball is going to fall and probably just roll away. So now you're going to have to go a little bit more out of your way to be able to grab it and get it back into the swing of things. A rubber ball is going to bounce right back up, and it's going to be really easy that even though you dropped it, you can pick it back up real quick. So as you're looking at what's Velcro child, okay, are we putting Velcro on our child? Oh, please don't juggle your children. But if you do think of your children as being these different balls, right? There are a child as a glass ball, if they drop, they will probably, right? We have a lot of attention we need to pay to our kids. Think of Nano as being a wooden ball, please. Because Nano is something that if you drop it, it won't necessarily bounce right back up into your hand super easily, but it will be something you can pick up again. Okay? So please don't let National Novel Writing Month be something that stresses you out as if it's a glass ball. Because if it falls, you can pick it back up. No problem. And sometimes it may even just kind of bounce right back into place really easily. Okay? As you're looking at okay, someone's saying, don't worry, the old man said, it must be lonely being out there by yourself. Is that from your writing? That sounds really good. It looks like a spiritual progress there. Sorry, I'm trying to kind of keep up with I feel like I need someone else watching this and being like, this is the stuff to pay attention to in the chat box because it's going so fast. But as you're going through this whole process, don't let National Novel Writing Month be something that makes you drop any of those glass balls. Don't feel like Nano is something that needs to be a burden, because it's not. It's something that's going to help us cope with all of these other different life domains, right, that are maybe a little bit out of whack. So that is my biggest recommendation there, is to analyze in your life for those who are saying, how do I find time for this? How do I not let this really stress me out? Figure out, what are your glass balls in life, the things that you cannot drop? What are your wooden balls in life, the things that you can probably drop and let sit for a minute and then pick up later? For me, that's laundry. What are the rubber balls that you know you can drop and then catch it right away? And let that be kind of your guide. And don't let yourself think that Nano is a glass ball. Even as a municipal liaison, I consider, and I take a lot of pride in my fellow writers here in El Paso. We work so hard for so many of them, helping with plot concerns or just even at write-ins, helping each other map things out, right? Every single time I have someone else who sends me their book, I am so ecstatic. I'm so happy. even with that kind of pressure that I put on myself of feeling like I am really responsible for other people's writing as well, you have to remember this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be creative. This is supposed to be healthy, right? So don't let National Novel Writing Month be something that you sacrifice other really important parts of your life for. And I know that Nano HQ completely agrees, because that's the whole point of their whole writing at home, the stay home RIMO. They recognize how important this is as something to help distract us from other things, or to help kind of make other things a little bit easier to handle and easier to deal with. So don't ever feel like you have to go through Nano and it's this burden and it's this slog, because that's not what it is. Nano is fun, it's whimsy, it's creativity, it's being that creative spirit and giving yourself that space. Now, for some of the questions that we had that came in here as we were kind of going. So how do you maintain motivation? I maintain my motivation by looking at National Novel Writing Month as this thing that is very important to me. Yes. It's also something that's pretty temporary. It's just November. Now, for me, I only write in November. I dabble throughout the year and I try. I'm not very good at it. But during November, if I know that I can focus my time, and I can focus my time during my write-ins, and I can focus my time during word sprints, that I can definitely go and get this done. The thing about National Novel Writing Month is everybody's schedule is different. I work full-time, right? This past year, I was very specifically doing a quick word sprint before work, before I left. That was kind of the last thing I did. I would do 2 word sprints while I was on my lunch break. I would do 8 or 9 minutes. And then before I left work, because I had the luxury of I could stay there however late I needed. Before I left work, I would do a quick sprint before I went home. So if I was doing an 8 or 9 minute sprint each of those times, because I don't do 5 or 10 minute sprints, right? Then that is anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes. Easy. 30 to 40 minutes, and depending on how fast you type, that's going to be a pretty good chunk of your National Novel Writing Month words. And yes, I have the luxury of, I don't have children. So my weekends are times where I can then chunk out that time really easily and be able to say, all right, I'm going to do a load of dishes and then I'm going to do another word sprint. And doing that kind of alternating tasks, because if you find yourself doing these really long sprints, and this is a good thing for those, someone asked about with ADHD, some strategies to be able to really succeed in National Novel Writing Month. Part of it is being able to identify what are your strengths, what are the things that you can focus on for an extended period of time. That's one thing. But the other thing is, don't have an expectation for yourself that you know you're not going to meet. If you know that sitting there for 30 minutes is almost impossible, then don't do that to yourself. Why are you going to punish yourself like that? Go ahead and chunk it off into just smaller time frames. 6 minutes. Look at how quickly 6 minutes flew. And if you can set that timer and know, okay, that's going to go off. So when you find your mind wandering, and the most important thing is to be patient with yourself and to be kind to yourself. If you find your mind wandering to other things, remember that they're there for a reason. I tell people this all the time when I'm trying to teach people how to do mindfulness and meditation to help really ground people. Your mind is wandering for a reason. That thinking about your doctor's appointment that you need to schedule, or thinking about all of those different things that life has, right? All those different things that life throws at you, and all the different things that you're worried about or concerned about, or that your mind wanders to. They're there for a reason. They're valid, they're real, and they're important. Thinking about food. Exactly. Someone just put that in the chat. Wandering and thinking about food. All of those things wind up being important and valid if you can kind of put a pin in them and then just come back. Don't get mad at yourself for being distracted. Don't get mad at yourself for wandering, letting your mind wander. Just kind of come back to it and say, okay, hold on, I was writing. And I know my alarm is going to go off in a few minutes. So I'm going to come back to this. Be kind to yourself and know that it's okay. It's going to happen. And just come back to your writing. The more time you can come back to your writing and be patient and kind with yourself, is the more writing you're going to get done and the better off your November is going to be. If you've never done it before, you'll start to learn different things. I know one of my favorite things is the Write or Die website. because Write or Die will give you really annoying sounds if you stop writing, as almost like a prompt to kind of knock you back into it, right? I lead Twitter word sprints with lots of other municipal liaisons. We're on Twitter almost 24/7 during the month of November. So whenever you need that help, we're there, and we're pretty much always leading you in different sprints. And we've got different prompts, different things kind of along the lines of like, okay, take your main character here. Do this with your main character. Have your main character get into an argument with your friend, with their friend. And those are just tools that are there and able to help with, you know, getting that thing. Now, setting aside time and making sure you're not dropping those glass balls while you're going through this whole process is a different story, right? Prioritize your glass balls, your family, your health, your safety. Those things are important. Your job, please don't lose your job for Nano, because yes, I write stealthily on my work breaks and things like that, but this is actually my lunch break right now. I kind of joked that I was running amok and leaving behind, right, all of my work. But really, it's important to be able to, you know, give it the chance to be the positive life, the positive part of life that we all want it to be. I'm looking at all of these comments, and they really do just go so fast. So fast. Can you answer the question, who am I as a reader? I don't know who I am as a reader. Are you saying that's a question we should be asking our readers? Does words written by speech text-to-converter apps count as words for Nano? Yes. However you get the words down, they count. Whether they're handwritten, whether they're typed, whether it's text-to-speech, that's fine. Especially because there are some people who can't physically write. That doesn't mean they can't do Nano, right? We're all here to write. However we get the words in, that's your story. That's what's important. I actually had a writer who, they never like to write. They always like to draw. They do wordless comic strips. That's their Nano. They tell their story through those words. They're a Nano rebel, yes. But they set that goal for themselves of how many panels to get done in the 30 days. And that's how they tell their story. Why can't that be for them too? National Novel Writing Month is for everybody. No matter how many words you want to write, no matter how you want to write them. That's what it's all about. So as we're looking here, Nano is a strange ball that's wooden on one side and rubber on the other. That is actually 100% accurate. I love that description. It is. Sometimes it will bounce right back up super easily, and sometimes it'll just kind of roll away a little bit and you have to chase after it. That's a really good way of describing National Novel Writing Month. Trying to get caught up in some of these comments, these questions. I know I saw another one. I love that you guys are exploring your emotional sides of your characters. That's great. Emotions are so important, because when you think about what drives us, you think about what emotions your characters are portraying or displaying the most. Anger is an obvious one, right? Anger is easy. Anger gets us what we want. But what's the real emotions behind that anger? Is it hurt? Is it jealousy? Is it like, what are the different things there? Let's see. How do I cope with not only keeping things interesting for my region so folks stay engaged, but also keeping myself motivated? I don't have an answer for that. I just try lots of different things. So this year, because we don't have actual in-person write-ins, I'm putting together movie guides so that we can all, like, Thursday night's movie night, we're going to watch a movie, and then at certain points we stop and take a break and write. It's a little different this year. I think for me, my motivation comes from, I feel very strongly and very purposeful that National Novel Writing Month is a very important creative outlet for people. It's how people can heal a lot of different wounds, whether they realize it or not. It's how people can explore different things that maybe help them kind of break out of their comfort zone. And for me, National Novel Writing Month, if you want to know the completely honest truth, I moved to El Paso in 2011. I was all by myself. I had my now husband, but I was there and I had no friends. I was here in this brand new region. I was 1,500 miles away from home. And I was alone. And I thought, how am I going to find people that are like-minded and that like to have fun? I'll try National Novel Writing Month. Fell in love with the writing aspect of it, fell in love with the creative outlet that it was, but my main motivation was trying to meet people. I wanted to meet people who seemed cool, who seemed interesting, and who had that creative spirit. My social domain need was driving me. My wellness need of those social community was driving me. And then as I kind of kept doing National Novel Writing Month and kept doing this, I wound up really seeing it as this very healthy, very helpful tool. I use creative writing with clients that I'm doing therapy with all of the time. So if you look at your creative writing, and the spelling doesn't matter, the grammar doesn't matter, if you look at the actual motivation, those emotions, everything behind that story, that's what drives Nano. That's what National Novel Writing Month is about. And then the community. Look at, some of you guys are having these conversations in the chat that I'm kind of glancing at, and I just think it's absolutely amazing. I am a plantser. I normally start out with an outline and maybe some character sketches, a couple of scene ideas, but then I just kind of let things go where they go. I let the chips fall where they may. But that's part of how we just kind of explore. So I want to do another quick sprint. I started late, so I'm only going to do 2 sprints. But this time, I want you to, and you can just write if you want to. That's fine. If you're like, no, I just want to write. I don't feel like doing any of this prep work that I set up for. I got one of the virtual write-ins that's in October, so I was like, oh, there are a lot of people who probably aren't going to be writing yet. So I'll keep it a little bit more on the prep side. Go ahead, and for this, we are going to do 7 minutes. I know it's a whole minute longer this time, right? We're going to do 7 minutes, and I want you to take your character, and I want you to, as you thought about your wellness domains last time, your 8 different domains, now I want you to figure out which domain do you think other people would see them as having a problem in. So this is where you're letting your other characters in your story judge your main character. Because remember, very often we get caught in this idea of, like, this is established, this is my main character, and we forget about those flaws, or we forget about how other people perceive them as well. So I want you to take yourself out of you and go into your secondary characters and figure out what domains of wellness do they see your main character having flaws in. Your Nano story does not necessarily have to be an original work. It can be fan fiction. It can be whatever you want to be able to write about. It's just when you come to publishing that you need to worry about that. So we're going to go ahead and jump into a 7-minute sprint here. Again, thinking about your secondary characters, have them kind of put their eyes on your main character and discover some of those flaws from their perspective. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat. If you have any questions that you want me to address after the sprint, go for it. Oh, I love El Paso too. I think I know who Geo Penguin is. But so we're going to go ahead. 7 minutes and go. Think about your secondary characters and what they think of your main character. Thanks for the love, El Paso. Love you guys too. Hello. Homework is good to do too. Please do your homework. Always do your homework. The prompt is to consider your main character's flaws, or maybe the different wellness domains where they're not as good or not doing as well from your secondary characters. I won't tell on you, Steph. I won't. Your secret's safe with me. We've got just over 3 minutes left. Just over 2 minutes left. Thought I was going to make it the whole time without the dogs barking, but come here. They want to see you. Come here. Okay, we can get down. Got just under a minute. Come here, Loki. Come here. Come. Less than 30 seconds to go, guys. Okay, hi, Loki. Hi. Hi, Poopy. Hi, Poopy. 3, 2, 1. And we're back. How is everyone? How's everyone doing? There are actually 3 of them, but the other one does not like to be in laps at all. Just terrified of them. Down. Okay, so you guys got to meet Apollo and Loki. They're very famous. So how did everything go? Did you find, and I saw a couple of questions that popped up that I'm gonna address and before we hop off of here. Yeah, we have Apollo and Starbuck and Loki. So if you're Battlestar Galactica fans. And then of course mythology. But so we got some words written. Good. We've got some words written, and I saw someone talking about their secondary character being concerned about the child and that was the dystopian like wasteland, right? So if you think about it from their perspective, it's a completely different viewpoint, especially when you think about the different, what perspective you're writing from. And as you are, I know you're doing homework, and I really appreciate you doing homework because that's a glass ball, right? So there was someone who said something, don't feel bad about prioritizing writing. And here's the thing, I completely agree. Don't feel bad taking time to write. It's not selfish, it's self-care is what we tell people in the mental health field, right? So if you think about the way when you go to fly on an airplane, which I'm sure we will all do again someday. If you go to fly on an airplane and they're talking about the masks, if your mask falls and there is someone who can't get their mask on themselves, what do? You put on your oxygen mask first, and then you help them with theirs, right? Because there's no good, they can't help you to put yours on so that you can breathe first. So it's not selfish, it's self-care. You're kind of taking care of yourself and then addressing the other needs that you have there. So if you do have the luxury of being able to schedule time to write, if you're like, you know what, I'm going to take a day off of work and I'm just going to write all day, go for it. That's great. If you have that capability, don't let your work fall behind. Don't let that glass ball fall. But yes, absolutely prioritize your writing, prioritize National Novel Writing Month. I am all for that. That is what I love Veterans Day for, and Thanksgiving. Well, Thanksgiving also includes lots of cooking and lots of other work, right? When Thanksgiving is at the very end of the month, it's way better for me because I get all my writing done beforehand so that I can cook. But it's really important to remember that, yes, you can schedule writing, and that's not selfish. That's part of how you're taking care of yourself, and you're taking care of that intellectual and creative domain of your wellness, right? There were a couple of questions that we had in here. One included, how do you do National Novel Writing Month as a full-time student? I feel for you because I was in graduate school for 2 years while I was doing National Novel Writing Month. Actually, my very first year as a municipal liaison, I was in graduate school. And I was working full-time. I was doing 18 credit hours, and I had a 16-hour-a-week internship on top of it. And somehow, miraculously, not really sure how, I wrote a 50,000-word novel in that month. Did I sleep? Probably not. No, I did. I did. I slept. I think the most important part is to remember as you're going through that, if you're scheduling small chunks of time, think about, and this is, I'm a huge fan of word sprints. I write almost exclusively during word sprints for the entire month of November. Okay. And this is why I don't necessarily have time to sit down for 4 hours and try to write 1,600 words every day, which is probably about how long it would take me if I was like, I'm just going to sit and until I finish writing, I'm not moving from this spot. But if I can set a timer for 9 minutes or 22 minutes or however long it is that I have, and I just try to write without paying attention to how much I'm writing, I just try to write for that entire time. I get a lot faster at writing over the course of the month. By the end of the month, I can get 1,000 words in one 15, 16-minute word sprint. Easy, because I get better. But B, as I'm going through that process, I'm able to just kind of power through and work through those short periods of time. Breaks from homework, breaks from studying, right? Waiting for class. I don't know the number of times I would have my iPad out right before class and people would say, what are you doing? I'm writing my novel. Why are you writing a novel? We're in graduate school. Yeah, I know, but this is important to me. Part of it is just being able to look at and schedule how you write. And I know some people, they say word sprints don't really work for me. I get maybe 50 to 100 words in 7 or 8 minutes because that doesn't work for me. That's fine. If that doesn't work for you, figure out what does. Does setting aside a longer period of time, does mapping it out work more for you? That's where I love the idea of, okay, how do you prepare for Nano? Are you a prepper? Are you a planner? Are you a pantser? Do you just let it take you and see where you wind up? And how does that work for you? Or are you somewhere in between? Which, by the way, quick reminder, the donation to get your customized planner, pantser, plancer notebooks, as Sarah said in the email that went out, plancers are taking it away. So for those of you who are planners, or those of you who are pantsers, if you deem your allegiance and you make your donation, you might be able to dethrone us. But Planson's where it's at, just saying. But take some time, think about your wellness, think about how NaNoWriMo works into your wellness, and also think about how within your writing, wellness plays a part. We often let our main characters get way too caught up in certain things, right? And yes, that's their world, that's their story. But if you have them actually analyze what their motivations are and you're thinking about what's getting them to their end goal and what's standing in their way, think of how much better off they're going to be. But I'm hoping I was able to help. I answered some questions. I hope that if you guys didn't think about your writing, but you thought about your own personal wellness in preparation for National Novel Writing Month, please remember to hydrate. Please remember to take care of yourself, eat healthy food, get plenty of sleep. Do not sacrifice those really important health and well-being parts of your life because you feel like you have to get Nano done. Nano is fun. Nano is creativity. It is exploration. Don't let it be another thing you have to do. Let it be one of those things that you want to do. And let those chips fall. Make sure you're taking care of yourself outside of that in every way, shape, and form. We got 2 weeks left. And that means you can plan, you can prep, you can write, or you can explore some other things. Maybe prepare your outside of Nano life to be able to be ready. I know a lot of people do some meal preps where they'll put together freezer meals and things like that so that the family can throw that in and then they can write while they're doing that. You know, people who try to get all their kids. I had one person that she tried to have 35. She wanted 5 extra outfits for her kids all planned out. She would have all their school outfits planned out. She had everything planned out. It was amazing. And I was just like, that's mad props to you. But that way she even said, I don't have to do any laundry during the month. I was like, okay, all that laundry time just goes to your writing. Perfect. But go ahead and take that time and set yourself up for success, whether that's through planning, whether it's through preparing your personal life, whether it's through reminding yourself to take that time and give yourself the space you need. But take care, everyone. If you have any more questions or if you want any tips about wellness balancing or how to kind of manage your mental health during National Novel Writing Month as well, feel free to hit me up. I'm at Beltray on Twitter. I'm also Beltray on National Novel Writing Month. So feel free to add me and send me a DM. You know, I'm a municipal liaison for El Paso, but I am a lover of Nano for all. So feel free, ask your questions, explore, and take some time for your own wellness. Bye, guys. Also, thank you so much to Nano HQ for letting me do this because I could have gone really wrong, huh, guys? Thanks, guys. Have a great day.